It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome everyone to the Mayor's Report. Yes, we do two reports, Mayor's Report in Hazleton, and of course we had the Mayor's Report in Pottsville, but of course my good friend Mayor Cusat, as you know, has retired, and will resume doing the Mayor's Report with a new mayor in the Pottsville area starting in January. But we're here in Hazleton and we're on our studio set. We're not in the city hall or on location. We figured we'd have Mayor Cusat come to our studio. And Jeff, it's nice to see you again.
You too.
How's Khaleesi?
Wonderful. I think 17 weeks old now. It's a joy. It's really gives me a reason to get up and go to work, and especially come home now and spend time together.
Isn't that a good feeling when you come home and you see your little baby there, and and it gives you a smile or whatever? Is she active?
It is. She's adorable. Yeah, she's starting to, I don't want to say talk, but squawk. And she's so strong. She's trying to get out of the chair now, and it's just every day something new. She found her knees and her toes this week, so that's something new. But,
you mentioned something about it gives you a reason to get up. And did you notice it changes perspective in life a little bit when you have a child?
It does, yes. It is. I mean, I've been excited about projects before where you open a new business and you put everything you got into it. Every waking hour goes into it, and you're completely dedicated. But I don't know if there was anything ever like this, like it's the joy of it.
We were having a discussion. Sometimes my wife and I, will bump into people who are coming and visiting in Hazleton, etc. And so one of the, I don't know where we were, maybe at Boyer's. But this couple came in and says, "Sam, you don't remember me?" I said, "Geez, let me see." And so we were talking, and I remembered who he was after we were discussing it. But he said, I come to Hazleton. He said, I was going down Alder Street the other day, and I passed Cusat's. And, oh boy, he says, you remember Mr. Cusat, the politician? Was that your?
Bellhop.
Bellhop. And I said, yeah. I said, well, he says, Sammy, it's a shame. These were people that were really good politicians and meant good for the people. They weren't in it for themselves, okay? And he said, Bellhop would all be at the bar, and he'd always have his friends, You remember Bellhop?
Me?
Yeah.
I worked with him every night for 20 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, we used to work every night together.
Yeah. Did Frankie Faye ever get together?
I never met Frankie Faye that I remember. I started cooking when I was 12.
Oh, okay.
It was the early 80s, and I worked right up to actually Bellhop died in my arms behind the bar.
Oh my God.
It was a Saturday afternoon around 5 o'clock. He just slumped into my arms.
Oh my gosh.
But we worked together almost every night, right?
Yeah, well, you must have learned a lot from him.
I did. It was a joy, every night. It was tough, but it was good. You learned so much from him and my grandfather. Rocky was my grandfather, and a lot of people thought Bellhop was Rocky's father because there was such an age difference. Yeah. But that was they were brothers, and then that was my father's.
Isn't it amazing, though, when you talk about people that have been around and they were solid politicians, whether they were good or bad? Well, most of them were good. But, none of them had doctor's degrees. None of them had college degrees. What they had is the degree that everyone in this country should have. Is called common sense. And that's what they were born and raised with, was common sense. And boy, Jeff, don't we wish we had a lot of that common sense today in our country?
Yeah. I want to be politically correct and say no, but yeah, I think you're correct.
Well,
you're correct. Like, it just, I don't think people always look at things from both sides.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just get, they get their way in their mind.
They get headlines.
Yes.
Okay, and when you get headlines, we were talking about a project which I won't discuss, but I mean, when you read the headline or you hear it on the news, you don't really know all the stuff that's behind it, okay? What makes it, and why it did not come to fruition or whatever. And yet you know that, and sometimes you cannot divulge things because of the situation you're in. That must be terribly frustrating.
It's really frustrating when you go to talk to people and actually it's more frustrating when you overhear people talking and they don't know who you are, and then you hear them over talking and saying this happened and they failed us here and they failed us there, and you know that there's so much that went into something, and you're totally off the wall on what your thinking is. But it's hard. That's one of the hardest things, because to not open your mouth, to not divulge any information that shouldn't be out, and to keep your opinions to yourself. It's hard. You go through situations all the time. People run to the newspaper. They put stuff on social media.
Yeah.
This happened, and to not be able to defend your employees, your decisions, it's hard. It
is hard, and I'm hoping that people understand that. But now, talking about the city, the Altamont, you said have 68 apartments, plus they're going to have retail downstairs in the first floor.
After many years of projects going on there, they're almost complete. We actually took a tour. Myself, Senator Argold, Representative Wattrow, Candu, the Chamber, we all took a tour down there. All the hotel room or apartments are going through their punch list now to finalize. They did ask for final inspection coming up. The ballroom and the foyer area are still a little bit away. And then I guess the retail areas should be looking close, but I believe they'll be looking for tenants very shortly.
Is that right? Are they nice apartments?
They're nice. They're mostly one bedroom, but they're nice. I mean, I think it'd be nice to live in a building that has everything right in the same building.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming that the eight commercial properties downstairs would be stuff that you could use every day. A barber shop, maybe a coffee shop, a little convenience store, something that would be nice not to have to walk outside, all your bills included in one thing. So,
I think it's great.
I mean, the key is having safe residential properties in the city. Right now, like one of the biggest things we hear from people is, can we do rent control? Unfortunately, we're not able to do rent control. They want safe housing, because people are buying old homes, which most of the homes in Hazleton are 100 years old, and they are converting them to multi-unit. Most of the time illegally, but you're putting people in the basement with no escape route, or they're putting people in the attics, and they're very dangerous for people to live in. So anytime you have the opportunity to have new residential properties, is very positive for the entire the city and area, because it helps grow the workforce. More people want to come here, invest in the city, and it gives people the opportunities.
Wow. We talked about, what you need in a city like Hazleton is revenue sources, where we can get additional revenue sources, because it's always the burden goes on the taxpayers. But I think your team has been looking very strongly about getting, additional resources in. Is that?
It is. It's very hard, because we are controlled by the state on what kind of revenue sources we're allowed to utilize or create. And it's frustrating because, again, people talk about, you should be going after this person. You should be charging renters more because they don't pay property tax. And it's all stuff that sounds great, as talking points. Unfortunately, the state does not allow for that. So it is hard to come up with revenue sources that are legal and make sense to put into place. We would love to be able to have a sales tax, if not for the city, for the county, the school district, like all those things that people think are just so easy to do, you can't do, and it becomes frustrating. Certain forms of government, are controlled differently than others. We're a third-class city, optional Plan B form of government. If we become home rule, it gives us more opportunities for other revenue sources. Increased DIT. But it's all a matter of what kind of form of government you are. It limits your area available taxing sources, revenue sources. So it is frustrating, but like it's something I wish people would understand, because we don't want to see our taxes keep going up. Unfortunately, everything else goes up, and it comes a time when you have to.
So are you saying you're capped? In other words, there's different things that you're capped at. You can't go out and get the additional revenue that you'd like to get because of the legislation?
Correct. EIT is one. We're capped at our limit, so we cannot increase that. Where some home rules home rule option gives you unlimited EIT tax. You could keep raising it. Some do have a cap depending on your.
Explain what EIT is.
EIT is your earned income tax. It's a wage tax. So that's one thing. The LST tax, is capped at $52. No matter what emergency services you offer, that is capped at $52. So we are limited. Some places are at their the limit for millage on their property taxes. That was one of the big problems we had in the late aughts, I guess you call it. 2008, 9, 10, is that we were maxed out at what our property taxes could be. So we were really struggling back then.
So where do you get your additional revenue from?
Well, unfortunately, the only option that the city has is property tax. I mean, that's the only one that we have room available for.
How about if you bring industry in?
Well, obviously, you want the best way for us to bring in revenue is through earned income tax. Yeah. That means your city's flourishing. Yeah. So the more industry we bring in, the more people that come here, the more wages that are earned here, the higher paying jobs. Like that's where we want our money to come from, is the earned income tax, because that means we're doing well as a community.
Yeah.
We hate to keep putting the burden on taxpayers, property taxpayers, because there's certain people that.
So bringing the industry or bringing jobs into Hazleton, that's critical.
Bringing new jobs in and increasing the amount of residents that live in the city. It's a fine line there, because you bring more residents into the city, you're also bringing in more resources that you need. So ideally you want to create new homes, because there's less chance of a fire in a new home. There's less injuries in a newer home because they're built a bit more specifications. And that's why the city came up with the, I'll say like a tax incentive for anybody that builds a new home in the city of Hazleton. If it's 1 unit, 2 units, if it's an apartment building, we're trying to incentivize people to build inside the city, because that is what draws in, revenue, not only through the new property taxes. It would also bring in the other taxes that go with it, the earned income tax, the LST tax, business privilege tax, not business, payroll prep tax. We got rid of our business.
Yeah, which was a good thing for
yes.
business. One of the shows we talked about people housing more people in their places that they should be, like you mentioned in the basement, etc. Are they, is the code enforcement or whomever looking at these certain residences?
We look at it. It's very hard to find them, though. It's hard. I mean, we do work with the post office. They're a great ally. The post office, the utility companies, UGI, like when they go hook up new services, they're allowed into the houses. We're not really allowed into someone's house. We can't just go knock on the door and force our way in. Even the police and fire can't go do that. So we have to go off of information that we get. If it's supposed to be a single home and there's 5 mailboxes on it, we know there's an issue. The post office, wonderful that if they see that pop up, a lot of times they'll contact us. UGI, if they're downstairs and they see the units, because they have to go in the basement. So we have a great relationship with all the utilities, and that's what we're trying to prevent. It's because we want people to be safe.
That's the key.
We've been extremely lucky where we haven't had any fatalities in tampered with properties lately. We have had a couple fatalities this year in fires, which is very sad. I was on scene for one, and it was tough. It was tough to see. And I helped carry the person to the ambulance, but it was very hard to see and to deal with. So that's we really want to try to create new residential properties, and that's why we're focused on new buildings, and why we're putting in David Avenue, up in the Heights. It's an extension of Ferrara Avenue out onto Broad Street, or 924, whichever way you want to call it, goes out towards Rails to Trails, because it's going to open up two large areas of potential homes being built up there, which could be on the higher end, which would help bring in revenue. But we're trying to create any areas we can to help make safe living conditions for the people.
Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Cusat. This is the Mayor's Report for Hazleton. And of course, we have the Mayor's Report in Pottsville. We'll be resuming that in January. Right now, we have playing in Pottsville the last show that Mayor Clues did. We'll be back right after this. Well, welcome back to the Mayor's Report. I'm Sam Lesante. I'm here with Mayor Jeff Cusat. Boy, starting October 27th up until December 31st, you guys are busy. So let's start on October 27th. What's going on?
Well, first, like when we came in office, our number one goal was to create an atmosphere for families to spend time together, events for kids to be together, no matter which language you spoke, and we wanted everybody to be together. So, we started working on the playgrounds, we created city events, and now you'll see like what's coming up just in the next 2 months, or less than 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So October 27th is our Trail of Treats up at City View Park. Last year we had 826 kids. I believe we have 50 vendors already. October 31st is our safe trick-or-treating, from 5 to 7, 5 to 8 in that area. And what that means is it's regular trick-or-treating, going door knocking back and forth, but we put additional police officers and fire department out on the streets to help slow down traffic, especially in areas where we know the kids frequent, and we just really want to slow down the traffic. And then that takes us into December
4th.
December 4th, it's my favorite time of the year. Santa Claus comes to city. He loves it here in Hazleton.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be flying into the Hazleton airport, and we'll be picking him up. But December 4th starts it all. It's the annual City Hall tree lighting. And the last couple of years, we teamed up with Can Do. So right from the City Hall tree lighting, we'll have our special guest this year light the tree. Santa Claus comes, get your picture taken inside City Hall for free. There'll be a little event over at the library. They have a special guest last year. I think it was the Grinch last year. And then after that, we just stroll over to the church next door, and Can Do Christmas is there. And there's hundreds of kids that their classes sing Christmas carols.
Oh, that's great.
And then after that's over, Santa Claus will be there for pictures also.
December 6th.
The fifth is
The Chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce has an event over at the library. At the library, I keep calling it the library. It's the Art League, the Art Center. That's another event. If anybody that's currently a member or wants to join the chamber, if they RSVP to that event, it's another beautiful event. And then we have the 6th, Friday the 6th is the first Friday. The Can Do Park, the Can Do Christmas tree lighting. Santa Claus will be there. It's also Wassail Fest. We walk up and down the streets with the Christmas carolers this year. They're going to be walking up and down the streets. You can stop at all the local businesses, and they have a little drink for everybody to sample. Wonderful event. Then the 7th, I believe it's Penn State. At the Penn State Launch Box, and the State Police, they have their event in there. And then the 8th starts the Santa Claus parades. Santa Claus and his wife will be in Hazleton 3 times this year.
The 8th, the 15th?
The 15th and the 22nd.
Right.
We will be having Santa Claus. The fire department will be leading Santa Claus throughout the city. It was 40-some miles of the streets last year.
Yeah.
We went to. I know a lot of people ask, why can't he come past my house? A lot has to do with the width of the streets, and the angle, the direction of the streets. So we try to get every area where kids could walk less than 1 block to see Santa Claus. And then this year, all of those parades are going to end at Can Do Park on the corner of Broad and Laurel for free pictures with Santa Claus. We're going to have the market huts the little sheds that we had at Memorial Park last year. We're going to put them down there at the Can Do Park this year. So vendors that are want to come down and sell items in the huts, it's going to be open for them to come. I believe we have the Living Nativity from the Unico against one, that's going to be here one weekend. They're going to be down there, and then we're going to cap it off with
The 31st.
The 31st with our annual fireworks.
So basically, the city's doing nothing for the holiday.
Basically, yeah.
Well, last year was a great time. My friends, you got the schedule, so we have the report.
I do have a schedule. They're going to send it over to you so you can plaster it up on the screen there.
We will
and
do
we
that.
have a website. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's
again.
okay.
But people want to talk to me, not do it.
It's the mayor's report.
HazletonForTheHolidays.com. All of the organizations got together, and we're going to put all of our information on that and utilize it all year round.
And we'll put it on our
HazletonForTheHolidays.com, and it'll have links to everything, and other organizations will be able to call and put their stuff on there, because it's the whole Hazleton area, not just the city. Our kids in our community, it's Hazel Township, it's West Hazleton, Drums, Butler. Everybody, we want everybody to feel like we're one community down.
Can I talk now?
Are you paying me?
All right, my friends, this is the monthly report, the mayor's report. A lot of things happening, and go to that website. We'll also have Lisa Sugar put on our Talk of the Town Communities report, so you know what's happening. We'll see you next time on the mayor's report.